Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional technology specialist from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center. And in this Tech Talk, I'm going to talk about Adobe Creative Cloud Express. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Formerly known as Adobe Spark. We'll jump into that in a bit. I am joined here with my colleague. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Kurt Bernhardt. I'm the Technology Director for OPSRC, and Kashawn and I make up the tech team here. Need any help with technology, just reach out to us.
Yeah, and I would argue the best way to do that would be through techteam@opsrc.net. That's our email. If you shoot it to us, it'll get to me and Kurt, and then we'll be able to have a little chat with you. Additionally, if you're following along on here in the live session, I have the slides. I'll copy that out and read it out since it's case sensitive. So lowercase t period ly / lowercase f uppercase r lowercase f lowercase y. Additionally, if you're watching in the recording later, you can also access the slides through opsrc.net /tech talks. That is where you can get recording, slides, description of all the upcoming tech talks. I'm really excited about the ones that I have set for this particular one. We're in this particular group, I'm going to be focusing on graphics, so really excited about what's coming up on this one. But let's talk about the tech talks in this particular session. Once again, it is the Adobe Creative Cloud Express. For short, I have a little acronym. I'm just going to use ACC. So anytime you see that, that means Adobe Creative Cloud. I've included a link to the FAQs because, like I said before, Adobe Creative Cloud Express is a sort of rebranding of Adobe Spark. They've added a couple of new features. But for those who don't know what it is, and maybe this is the first time you've heard of it, that's cool. And this is a suite of tools that you can use to create graphics. You can also create videos as well, and you can create web pages. It's kind of like an all-in-one inclusive deal. And all of it is powered by a lot of those Adobe tools that you might know, like, Photoshop, Premiere, all of those different tools that are typically included in the Creative Cloud. Now, it's not like a full suite like those, but you can see a lot of the similar features, especially if you've used those tools before. You can see a couple of the similar features, but it is simplified down that I think that even if you didn't have any training or this is the first time that you've ever used any of these tools, they're really easy to use. And so I've included a link to their FAQs. Just in case you are familiar with Adobe Spark, you can access it through a link through there. Additionally, I wanted to show you a real quick example of a graphic that I made a little while back, once upon a time. So I created this PDF. There's a lot of different ways that you can export out your graphics. Typically a PNG, a JPG. You can also spit them out as PDFs, which is really nice. They come out really good, high quality, and it's real easy to share. So I made this kind of 2x3 graphic. I was doing like a summary of the National Education Technology Plan of 2017. They might have an update for that pretty soon. I need to check up on that. But yeah, I'm just try to create like a little infographic filled with the different sections of the technology plan. So something that just made it really easy to share information visually. And so that's a lot. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you're picking up in the recording on this part, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but just to repeat the last little bit that I said, just kind of going into the objective for today. After this tech talk, educators will be able to integrate Adobe Creative Cloud Express to create graphics and help students achieve their learning goals. Now, I did limit the objective a little bit here because I'm going to focus mainly on the graphics. I think that's what got the most sort of upgrade between Adobe Spark and Express. But keep in mind that the suite of tools can also be used for the video component and the web page creation component as well, which I'll bring up a little bit later once it becomes applicable. Okay. What are we doing? Just a quick schedule of what's going on so we have an idea how this time is going to be used. I'll go a little bit over the tool, just kind of showcasing a couple of pieces to it. Then I want to move into just how to effectively integrate technology. I'm going to use one of the technology integration frameworks to kind of help frame that a bit. And then I'll talk a little bit about tool applications, just a suggestion, to get yourself started, especially if this is great, especially if this is the first time you use this tool. Then we'll wrap things up. I'll share a couple of links, things I just think are going to be really useful to you, and share a link to the evaluation. So if you're joining in a live session, or if you just really like this after you've done the recording, you could do a little evaluation, and it'll help me make these tech talks a little better. So let's jump in to the next thing. Right over here, just a little overview of the new Express tool. Definition, just a simple one, a suite of graphic, video, and website tools on here. A couple of features that I want to highlight on here. For those who don't know, it's a drag and drop interface. So a lot of things you can like click text or grab an object or picture or an animation and put it in like a shared space in the middle of your screen. I'll show you a bit of that in a minute. And the settings you can change, like if you click on a piece of text, you can adjust the size or the style or the font. It's really easy to use there. One of the big things is they expanded their template library. They still have that like, you can access a lot of it with the free account, but they also have like premium features on there. I think a lot of the free templates are really good already, but I'll kind of show that in a bit. Something to keep in mind is these graphics are formatted, particularly to help you if you want to share it out in social media. So really good for stuff like that. Like the image, it was mainly like image sizes of things. They make sure that when you create a graphic, the canvas that you're working on is specifically formatted to share in social media. So really nice for that. One of the big upgrades, I think, in the Express is the fact that they've added tons of fonts and tons of images through Adobe Fonts in stock. So really good stuff through that. And they've also added quick actions. I've included a link for that down over here so you can get a fuller idea of what some of that means. But it's basically like if you want to make like a quick edit, like adjust the size of an image or turn a video into a GIF file or create a PDF, there's lots of options through that. And I'll show you how to access that. But let's jump on in. Let's go to adobe.com/express. That is the new link that you can use. I don't know if the Spark you want to use. I haven't quite tested it out yet, but let's jump into adobe.com/express. Okay, let's get to this. Whenever you're here for the first time, probably a good place to start would be sign up there on the top right hand corner. Additionally, if you already have like a Google account or a Microsoft account or education account as well, you can use those to sign in as well. I'm going to skip the sign in step just to save a little bit of time on this one. I'm just going to go up here to the top right hand corner where it says sign in. Now, keep in mind, this is the same sign-in that you can use for students as well as you can for educators as well. One of the big features that you can take advantage of that I unfortunately am not able to show you on this particular Tech Talk, maybe one of the ones for the future, I will do just this part, but you can use your education account to create classrooms. A lot of my resources that I'm going to share at the end of this Tech Talk have that included. So if you have access to the slides, you have access to those links just in case you have to head somewhere for my live people here. But yeah, I'm going to log in here just using my Google account. Just going to log in real quick, real easy stuff to do, especially if you've already done it. You might have to, for your first time users, you might have to like authorize to use your account in some places, but it's pretty straightforward. It'll guide you through. Okay, once you get here, you can see that the screen is, for the most part, pretty much the same. They've added a few features on here on the dashboard. Like, for example, if you have been working on any projects from before, if you've seen any of my other Tech Talks, you can see all of my little projects down there that I've been working on as well. It just shows the first handful of the recent ones. If you click view all, then it'll take you to your projects there, which is pretty cool. At the top, the way that they've restructured Creative Cloud Express is that they want you to have a clear idea on what you're working with right before you click on it. So like, for example, Instagram story, like the image size for those are typically really long. going vertically, or you could do an Instagram post, which I believe the image size for that is like 1:1. And so it just gives you an idea of what is possible in here. And you can either start with the template or you could start with the blank space. It's really up to you. If you want to access those quick actions I was talking about, if you scroll down just a little bit, there's a little section that says try a quick action. From here, you can click on any one of these, and it's really action specific. Like this is about like merging videos together, or resizing a video, or removing the background from an image. And so there are different sections that you can click on and see what different actions are in there. And you can see that they're powered by the specific associated tool in the Creative Cloud. So the image ones are for Photoshop, the video ones align with Premiere, and the PDF ones are aligned with Adobe Acrobat. So it's real nice that you have access to these, even though we're using free accounts for all of this. Okay, I do want to take a little bit of time to show you how to start up a project, because I think that's a really good space. If you think this tool is going to be good for your students to be able to share it with them, and they're able to find classroom applications for it. Whenever they get logged in, they get kind of the same view that you see over here. But on the top left-hand corner, this big old purple plus button, you can click on it, and it gives you tons of options. Not only that you see the quick actions that you have here for image, videos, and PDFs, on the left-hand side over here are all of your potential projects here. The very first handful, so I'm really glad that they've cleaned this up from last time, made it a little bit easier to look at. But the third item from Instagram story all the way down to card, all those are graphic centered items. The last two is used to be called Adobe Spark Page and Adobe Spark Video, I believe. Yeah. So you can easily see like what project that you're going to have before you start creating some of this. So it's really nice on there. Additionally, you can click on custom size graphics. A real quick explanation of that is that you set the exact pixels that you want your canvas to be on here. If not, you can also click on things like social post, so you can have an idea on what is the pixel size for the length and width for your projects on there. You can just think of this as like starting canvas size. So this is something that you can't typically change after you start creating. So please keep that in mind whenever you do make any of these selections on here. One last thing, and this is also a new feature as well as part of Express that I will show once it's back, maybe. Let's do a little refresh, maybe. Oh, I'm still on the custom. Okay, let me just back up. Do a little back up here. Okay, there we are. Back to the dashboard on here. Is one thing that you can do is from your templates, if you create a graphic inside of Adobe Express, you can also create a template out of it. So if you click on Add Templates button, you can select any of these projects that you've created for and use that, which is really nice. I can see this being used as like you want all your students to start with like one particular graphic, like just to start them out. And then you can share that template out with the rest of your students on there. So they all are creating something that starts with similar, but the students can add in and change and mess with whatever they want on there. So that's one way that I can see that being used. Okay, let's take a couple of minutes to talk about the graphics. Like how to create something, like start a project. I'm going to go to the top left-hand corner, click that plus symbol. And this time I'm going to select one of the graphics option. Let's, I don't know, create a nice card for somebody. Here we go. Let's click card. Okay, so I have a blank canvas in the middle of my screen. On the left-hand side, I can see things that I can add in to my canvas, and on the right hand side are adjustments for that. So that's a good way that you can see divided up here. It's really nice if you have more space, like the more visual space that you have on your screen, the easier this becomes. If you do need to make adjustments, like I see this template space is taking up like almost a quarter of my visual space here. I can click on this little X button here on the top right hand corner of that little slide out menu, and it will close it for me. And I can always add it in there by just clicking on it on the left-hand side. So I won't go fully into all of these different options, but I did want to show you what's been updated since Adobe Spark post. If you want more information about some of that stuff, you can either reach out to me, or there's some resources I can share, or additionally, you can check out my Adobe Spark post, Tech Talk that's out there. But real quick, you can see that there are tons of little card templates. You have things for like babies, birthdays, congratulations, engagements, funny, any of that stuff, get well. And you can also search for it up here. They have 4,182 card templates, so much stuff out there. So if I want to, I don't know, for dogs, that's something I usually search. Yeah, check that out. Happy birthday to a top dog, or like some particular purpose, like farewell, maybe a farewell card. That's a type of card, right? Yeah, there we go. So if I select one of these templates, it will take what's in there and spit it out in my canvas. And like I was talking about before, you can edit any of these by either like dragging and dropping. So I can click on this little goodbye text, and I can adjust that. And you can see there's some alignment tools, which makes that pretty nice, makes it a little bit easier to make this visually pleasing. Additionally, on the right-hand side, you can see that the settings are context sensitive. So on the right-hand side, if I wanted to, I don't know, change the size of that text, I can easily do that using the drop-down menus. I can also adjust. So this is one of the new things on here is if you click on the fonts section, it says local brewery for ... at the moment. If I click this, there are so many fonts down here, super cool. This has been, if you saw what the options were before, it wasn't nearly as robust as this is right now. So you can get all sorts of crazy fonts in here since it's powered by Adobe fonts. There's even some foreign language stuff on here. So pretty cool that that's out there. This is something that you will definitely, there's so many options out there that this is something that you'll definitely need to play around to kind of get the full scope of this. You can do a lot of basic things by just pulling in a template or pulling in an object and then messing with it. But yeah, it's hard to really get a good feel for the scope of this unless you're play around with it. Okay, I want to make sure we stay on time here. So a few things that I do want to point out here before I leave the showcase of the tool. Top right-hand corner, if a few of the buttons that have been changed a little bit around in terms of the way they look, but one of the things they added on here is the light bulb symbol, which is a little tutorial. They have like built-in tutorials just to kind of show people around. I think this is really good for first-time users. So in fact, if you have a moment, take a look at it. And they also can click more tutorials to get an idea of what different things that you can do as well. Next is the invitation symbol. You can still collaborate with anybody that has an account on here, which is pretty nice. It isn't a live type session. It's more of like a tag, so people can't work on this all at the same time and see it live like you can like a Google Doc or something like that. But at the very least, you can have people share, work on the project, build, and pass it on as well, which is really cool. And then, of course, top right-hand corner, that big old purple button that says share. If you click on it, you could choose to publish these or send it to Google Drive. So this is how you can get these graphics somewhere else. Additionally, there's the download button, real easy to put in PNG, JPG, and they've added PDF in here. And one of the really nice things that's on here, especially if you're not in the know on like the differences between some of these graphics and what they're used for, is if you hover over any of these options that you have here, you can see what they are good for, like kind of the differences between them. So really cool stuff for like, you know, first-time users or people who are unfamiliar with how some of these graphics work. But yeah, let me take the share button, click on that, click on publish. and just show you that you do have a couple of these options. All this stuff is social media friendly, so Facebook, Twitter. I'm actually kind of surprised Instagram's not on here. But yeah, you have those on there. If you want to have this tied into your Google Classroom, so you want students to push content out onto there, excuse me, you can. You have Microsoft Teams, and of course, you know, the email and the linking as well as something you can do, the way you can share that out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a little bit from the showcase. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I would love to answer them. I think this is just a cool tool to just go in and explore and see what's out there. It's so easy to create a graphic and move some of these options around. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about integrating this tool. If you went through this tech talk and you've with me up to this point, and you're like, okay, maybe this is a tool that's good for me, or maybe this is a tool that's good for my colleague. I want to help you get through some of those like first steps, like getting your account set up, having your students kind of work with this. I can see this being like, probably for older students, there's just like so many options that it might be overwhelming for some of the younger students. I would recommend something else like Seesaw has a really good creative tool suite on there for some of the younger students, but I can see this working out like middle school and above. So I'm going to get a little technical for a second. Just follow along with me. And if you have any questions about it, please let me know. But if you're wondering a good way to integrate technology, I highly recommend that you take a look at a framework. There's lots of them out there that are really good. And I'm going to try to highlight different ones in my different tech talks. And in this particular one, I'm going to choose to do the technology integration matrix. The basic idea behind it is that there are 5 characteristics in your learning environment that'll go a little bit more into detail in a second, that you can influence and make your learning environment a little bit more meaningful when you integrate technology into it. And then there are 5 different levels. So those are the columns on here that you can take those characteristics from one level to the next. And so I'll show a little bit in an activity that I'm going to do. So the 5 characteristics would be the active characteristics. So the way that you can have students go from passive learners to active learners, the collaboration characteristic, which is how the technology tool can help students work together, the constructive tool characteristic, which is how you can use a technology tool to have students connect old information to new information, the authentic characteristic, which is how you can use the technology to connect what students are doing in the classroom, kind of like an isolated scenario, to like a broader context. So how can they connect what they're doing in the classroom with careers or college or anything just outside your classroom? And then finally, the goal-directed characteristic, which is how students, how a technology tool can be used to help students pursue their goals, to monitor their own progress, to accomplish the things that they try to get done inside of your classroom. So that's a really quick, just super brief overview. And I'm actually going to do a little activity which is called Move Up a Level. That's created by the people who did the technology integration matrix from the Florida Center of Instructional Technology. I'm just going to pick one of these characteristics and try to figure out what it would look like when I introduce a tool into my classroom and then bump it up a couple of levels. So I'm just kind of going through the planning stages here, what this would look like. And I'm going to use, of course, Adobe Creative Cloud Express as my example here. So you're getting a little bit of both. So just to take a moment to walk you through here, I'm going to use the active characteristics. So which, once again, it's just helping you engage technology as a tool rather than passively receiving information. So I'm going to show you what this looks like a little bit with Adobe Creative Cloud. So like, for example, the first thing that you might have students do is have them watch a set of videos. I've actually provided that for you in the link in there, and also on the next page, I have like a goodies page full of links on there. And so if that's something that you want to do just to kind of introduce students to Adobe Creative Cloud, just to see, like, have them wrap their heads around like what the tool's about and what it can do, that's a good place to start. But remember, that's the passive learning. Students are not going to get nearly as much of that until they get their hands on it. And that's where I think we're going to bump it up a level from there. So After you introduce students to like the set of videos, as just an example, you can move it up to the adoption phase. So this is characterized by like procedural use of the tool. You're just having them kind of like walk through the motions. You might do a little bit of showcase. Maybe you might create a video or something of you doing some simple things like adding some icons in there, or having them put in text. So and then changing the different sizes or changing the different fonts on there. And so this is just getting students familiar with, very basic stuff like logging in. So things that you can easily replicate, or things that you could like create like here's like a quick a review of some simple things. So things that you could probably boil down to like step-by-step stuff. And so that would be some things I would suggest in the adoption phase. And this is stuff you can build in over time. Don't expect to go through these different levels all in the same day and try to push that. This is something that you want to build up over time. And after you get your students comfortable, in fact, you might even be able to identify students that like really thrive with this tool, or some students that are really struggling with that, and then you can build that support with them. After some time, you want to get them to the adaptation phase. So this is characterized like more independent use. So this is, I'm thinking like project-based style learning. Like you have students have an idea, you want to give them some parameters, and then you like push them and say, okay, here's this tool. Now that you have taken some time, maybe you've taken a couple of weeks to get used to this tool, now you're going to start creating projects out of it. And that's where I think a lot of the meat in getting students to work on this tool and getting the most out of that comes into play. Now, there are more levels after that, but that's just me taking you through a couple of levels, just giving you suggestions on ways to think about this. There's so many different ways that you could approach this applications, but I wanted to give you something at least to hang your hat on, so you could talk about it with your colleagues, or you can chat with us about it as well. All right, if you've made it up to this point, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. Hopefully this was useful to you, or at least gives you a place to start thinking about the ways that you can use technology into your classroom. I'm going to wrap up here real quick, just take a minute or so. On the next couple of slides are, I'm calling them goodies because they're things that you can go in after you've listened to this tech talk and go into. You can share these resources as well. Some really great things would be the very first link that I put on here is the getting started page for the Express for Education accounts on there. I'm just going to click on this real quick because this goes over education accounts, but also institution accounts on here. It kind of has a little bit of this together, but the thing that you really want down here is the section that's labeled for teachers on here. So unless you have like kind of a paid account on that one, which is probably not a super great place to start, I would highly recommend that you take advantage of the for teachers section for this. Additionally, I have things like that video playlist I was talking about that you might be able to share with your students as well. I have a link to a course that's actually created by Adobe. So if you want some professional credit hours or professional development hours, it's a 4-hour self-paced accredited course that comes with a digital badge, which is super cool. I highly recommend you check that out. And also, I didn't get a chance to mention it, but there's a mobile app for Creative Cloud. So if you're working with iPads, this works great for that. Ooh, something I forgot to mention, this works great for Chromebooks as well, since it is browser-based tool. Super good stuff for that. Next page is about technology integration. If you're interested about some of the stuff I brought up, like about the technology integration matrix or any other frameworks, there's a bunch of tools for that down here. And then finally, my thank you page. This is the last slide. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me in here, whether it's in the live session or if you're listening to the recording later. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate being able to do this and just having this opportunity to help educators out, especially in the wild time that we're in right now. I have a link to our evaluation. It won't take that long, I promise, just a couple of clicks in there, and an open space for you to put in some comments on there, and just put, if you have a minute or two, just take an opportunity. We will look through those, and just I want to make these tech talks a little bit better. So you see, if you've seen any of the other ones before, I've changed the formatting around just to make it a little bit easier for you. Lastly, just a reminder, I've been Kashawn Hopkins. We're joined here with our technology director, Kurt Bernhardt. Together, we make the technology team. Give us a shout out at techteam@opsrc.net or check out opsrc.net/tech talks. You can see all the other tech talks that we've done. We've had recordings and slides all on that page. It's worth your time taking a look at. And we have these very lovely, nice little social media buttons. If you like what we do, give us a shout out. We would love to hear from you. We'll see if we can make all these better. But anyways, I think that's it for me today. So hope to see you maybe at the Thursday session, my after school one. That one's going to be a little bit longer to accommodate for discussion if we have it. So we'll see hopefully you next time. So thank you, everybody.